What if I told you that some countries like the UK is facing a severe immigrant crisis, but some European countries have gone further by outright banning immigration? Take Poland, for instance. In recent years, Poland has enacted strict anti-immigrant laws, sealing off its borders with strict enforcement, particularly against asylum seekers. Poland, alongside Hungary, passed policies that outright reject migrants, focusing on national security and cultural preservation. They argue that their strong stance is necessary to protect their borders and maintain societal cohesion amidst the migrant crisis that has overwhelmed many parts of Europe. Today, we're going to dive into the 7 European countries that have literally banned immigrants. But before we proceed, if you appreciate the content and the effort we put into bringing valuable insights like this, please give us a like and subscribe. Now, let's dive into the list. Number 7, Lithuania. A country with a population of just under 2.7 million has recently taken severe measures to limit the flow of immigrants, particularly since 2021. The turning point came when the country faced an influx of migrants crossing through Belarus, which was seen as a deliberate strategy by Belarusian authorities to pressure the European Union. In response, Lithuania declared a state of emergency and took significant action to reinforce its borders. In fact, the number of illegal crossings skyrocketed to nearly 4,200 in 2021, a sharp increase from just 74 the previous year. To combat this, Lithuania implemented strict border controls and even started constructing a physical barrier along the 679-kilometer border with Belarus. By the end of 2022, nearly 85% of the wall had been completed, and patrols were intensified to deter any unauthorized entries. Even more shocking is that Lithuania's approach isn't just about physical barriers. The government has adopted controversial pushback policies, where migrants are turned away without being allowed to apply for asylum. This move has drawn criticism from human rights groups, but the Lithuanian government insists it is necessary for national security. What's notable is that the migrant population, which surged in 2021, has since been significantly reduced. Many asylum seekers have either been deported or placed in detention centers. In 2023, Lithuania's parliament passed even stricter immigration laws, allowing faster deportations and limiting access to legal aid for migrants. The country's Minister of Interior, Agnė Bilotaitė, stated, "Lithuania must protect its borders and citizens, and that means taking firm action against illegal migration." Number 6, Czech Republic. The Czech Republic, with a population of around 10.5 million, has taken significant steps to curb immigration in recent years, particularly in response to the European migrant crisis of 2015. The Czech government, led by the populist ANO party under Prime Minister Andrej Babiš, has been vocal about its opposition to accepting large numbers of refugees. In fact, by 2020, the Czech Republic had accepted only 12 out of the 1,600 asylum seekers it was initially required to take under the European Union's relocation plan. This resistance stems from the government's belief that unchecked migration poses a threat to national security and cultural identity. In 2022, the Czech government introduced a series of stringent immigration laws that significantly limit the ability of migrants to enter or stay in the country. These laws allow for the detention of migrants crossing the borders illegally and expedite deportations for those whose asylum applications are rejected. Even more shocking is that, by 2023, the number of asylum seekers in the Czech Republic dropped to just over 1,000, a significant decline from the tens of thousands that flooded neighboring countries like Germany during the peak of the migrant crisis. Prime Minister Babiš stated, "We must protect our borders and our people. The situation in Europe has shown that mass migration can lead to instability, and we won't allow that to happen here." The Czech Republic's firm stance reflects its desire to maintain a strong grip on immigration policies. Despite pressure from the European Union to accept more refugees, the country remains steadfast in its approach, prioritizing national security and economic stability. Number 5, Italy. Italy, located at the heart of the Mediterranean, has long been a major entry point for migrants attempting to reach Europe. In recent years, however, Italy has drastically changed its approach to handling immigration, particularly under the leadership of Giorgia Meloni and her Brothers of Italy party. In 2023, Italy introduced some of the toughest immigration laws in Europe, aiming to reduce the number of migrants arriving by boat from North Africa. In fact, Italy's coastline has seen a dramatic decrease in the number of arrivals, dropping from over 180,000 in 2016 to fewer than 35,000 by the end of 2023. The government's strategy involves tightening border security, cutting deals with Libya to stop migrants from departing, and severely limiting the number of rescue operations conducted by NGOs in the Mediterranean. These policies have drawn criticism from humanitarian organizations, but Meloni has stood firm, emphasizing the importance of defending Italy's borders. What's even more notable is the country's move to ban certain forms of asylum, restricting applications to only those fleeing direct and immediate threats. This has caused a significant decline in the number of accepted asylum claims, and many migrants have been forcibly deported or placed in detention centers. The government has also introduced heavy fines for NGOs that assist migrants, further discouraging their activities. Meloni's hardline approach reflects Italy's growing frustration with the European Union's handling of the migrant crisis. As the migrant population dwindles, Italy is positioning itself as a leader in the fight to reclaim European borders, according to Meloni's recent statements. Number 4, Austria. Austria, with a population of roughly 9 million, has been one of the most vocal critics of mass immigration in Europe, particularly since the 2015 migrant crisis. The country, led by the right-wing Austrian People's Party OVP, has implemented some of the toughest immigration policies in the EU. Chancellor Karl Nehammer has repeatedly emphasized that Austria must protect its national identity and economic stability from the perceived threats of unchecked migration. In 2023, Austria introduced a new law that imposes stringent limits on asylum applications, allowing the government to cap the number of asylum seekers it accepts annually. The country also continues to push back migrants attempting to enter through its southern borders, particularly from Hungary and Slovenia. The Nehammer government has also increased the use of technology, including drones and facial recognition software, to monitor borders and identify illegal crossings. By 2024, Austria had reduced the number of asylum applications by over 60%, bringing the total down to fewer than 10,000. In contrast, during the peak of the crisis in 2015, Austria accepted over 90,000 migrants. "We cannot afford to welcome more people than our infrastructure can handle," Nehammer said in a recent speech, justifying the harsh measures. Additionally, Austria has been at the forefront of lobbying the European Union to adopt stricter migration policies, calling for a collective European effort to halt illegal immigration at its source. As Austria continues to tighten its immigration controls, it remains one of the most determined nations in Europe when it comes to reducing its migrant population and protecting its borders. Number 3, Denmark. Denmark has long been known for its strong stance on immigration, but recent developments have seen the country tightening its policies even further. With a population of approximately 5.8 million, Denmark has implemented some of the strictest immigration laws in Europe. The Danish government, under Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen, has made it clear that Denmark will not be a destination for large numbers of migrants. In 2022, Denmark passed a law allowing asylum seekers to be transferred to third countries, such as Rwanda, while their cases are being processed. This move drew widespread international attention as it marked a significant shift in how European countries handle asylum seekers. But the real shock came in 2023 when Denmark reduced the number of accepted asylum applications to less than 1,500, a drastic drop from previous years. The government justified this by emphasizing the need to protect the welfare state, arguing that a high influx of migrants could strain the country's resources. Denmark must remain Danish. Frederiksen stated in a 2023 speech, reflecting the country's concerns about preserving its cultural identity. In fact, Denmark has also reduced social benefits for refugees, which critics argue makes the country less attractive to migrants. But the government remains firm, with officials explaining that these measures are necessary to prevent social unrest and protect the labor market. In my opinion, while Denmark's approach might seem harsh, it reflects a growing sentiment across Europe, where governments are prioritizing national stability over liberal migration policies. Whether this is the right move or not, it's clear that Denmark's policies have significantly reduced the number of migrants entering the country. Number 2, Poland. Poland, with a population of nearly 38 million, has consistently opposed large-scale immigration, especially from non-European countries. The governing Law and Justice Party PiS, led by Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki, has positioned itself as a staunch defender of Poland's borders. During the peak of the migrant crisis in 2015, Poland rejected the EU's refugee relocation plan, citing national security concerns and the need to preserve Poland's Christian identity. In 2022, Poland took even stronger action by building a 187-kilometer border wall along its border with Belarus to stop the flow of migrants attempting to cross illegally. By 2023, the number of asylum applications had plummeted to fewer than 2,000, marking a significant decline from previous years. The government has credited this to its strict border policies and its refusal to accept migrant quotas from the European Union. One of the most striking aspects of Poland's approach is its legal framework, which allows for the immediate deportation of migrants caught crossing the border illegally. In addition, Poland has reduced access to social services for refugees, making it difficult for those who do manage to enter to stay long-term. Critics argue that Poland's policies are discriminatory, but the government remains resolute, with President Andrzej Duda stating, "We cannot allow Poland to become a transit country for illegal migration." Number 1. Hungary. Hungary has arguably taken the most aggressive approach to curbing immigration in Europe. With a population of roughly 9.6 million, Hungary has long been a vocal opponent of the EU's immigration policies. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Viktor Orban and his Fidesz party, Hungary has implemented a series of draconian measures designed to virtually eliminate illegal immigration. The cornerstone of this approach was the construction of a razor-wire border fence along the country's southern border in 2015, which effectively halted the flow of migrants entering from Serbia. By 2023, Hungary had reduced the number of asylum applications to less than 1,000, a stark contrast to the tens of thousands that flooded into the country in previous years. The government has also passed laws making it nearly impossible for migrants to seek asylum. One of the most controversial measures was a policy that automatically denies asylum to anyone who enters Hungary from a so-called safe third country. This has allowed Hungary to reject the vast majority of asylum claims outright. What's even more concerning for critics is the government's rhetoric around immigration. Orban has repeatedly referred to migration as an existential threat to Hungary's Christian identity, arguing that the country must defend itself from the Muslim invasion. In 2022, Hungary also introduced new laws restricting the ability of NGOs to assist migrants, further solidifying its anti-immigration stance. In my opinion, Hungary's approach is the most extreme example of how a country can fortify its borders and tighten immigration laws. While some see these measures as necessary to protect Hungary's sovereignty, others view them as alarmingly xenophobic. Hungary's policies have been effective in dramatically reducing the number of migrants within its borders, making it a standout example of Europe's tough stance on immigration. Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear your thoughts. The immigration crisis is not just a European issue, it's impacting nations like the US and the UK as well. In your opinion, what steps should America take to address this growing challenge? Should the UK follow a similar path as some of these countries we've discussed today? Share your insights and suggestions in the comments below. Your opinions matter, and I can't wait to hear what you think. If you found today's discussion insightful, there's another video that I'm sure will grab your attention. Click on the video showing up on your screen right now. It's about 10 countries where Muslims are banned. If you're curious about which nations have taken this controversial stance and why, it's definitely worth a watch. So don't miss out. Click on it, and let's dive into another fascinating topic together. Until next time, take care and see you in the next video.